you can see a side panel for the device where we have markings drawn for the circular hand entry points and the frame for the air filter. The circular hand entry points, their center points will be 12 inches up from the bottom of the device, and their center points will each be 7 inches from the side of this panel. You can also see the markings for the air filter housing, so that puts the back edge of the filter housing 3.5 inches from the back, and the top edge 3.5 inches from the top. The actual hole that will be cut will be 1 inch in from the edge of the filter housing. And then to actually enable installation of a new filter, the vinyl will be cut from the corner of this hole out to the hole that will be punched for the screws for the flange. Here you can see the panel for the other side of the device. The circular hand entry points are placed identically with the 7 inches from each side and the 12 inches from the bottom. You only need one filter on each device, so this panel does not have that.
Okay, now it's time to glue the frames for the side panels. So we're going to start with a 60-inch length of 3/16 fiberglass rod sealed inside of a vinyl tube. And on the longer dimension of the side, we're going to place the end of that tube 2.5 inches from the edge. Start by just gluing the straight edge of this, and we'll glue 12 inches of length. So if we move our ruler back up, we're going to glue all the way from down here to about right here. Now we want to try to get these right on the edge. And now to save some time, we're going to try to do the rest of the vinyl, or to glue the rest of the frame without having to wait until these cure. So we're going to have to be really careful about not stressing these joints too much as we... Our next bend is going to be right here with the goal of the frame touching right at the top face, and then again touching right at the second face. In order to position that just right, we're going to need to place some weights to hold it in place. So now at these two key places, our frame is in the right spot and we are ready to glue. One more weight now, and we've got about 2/3 of this glued. Now once these dry, we're going to remove this weight, and we will kind of curve this back out towards that edge. Try to do the same thing on the other side. So again, remember, we want the frame to touch right at the top face and then right at the second face here. Once that's in place, we're ready to glue. Okay, now we'll wait about 10 minutes and we'll finish this off. Okay, now that we've let this cure for a little while, we should be ready to make the last glue. Once I glue this side, I'll still have to go around and glue some of these spaces on the top of the arch that I couldn't get to because of the weights initially. But for the most part, now we are ready to make the last glue line. So again, we're just going to put a nice line of glue along the edge. And once we get the tube in place, we're going to weight it down. Because this one's under tension, we may need a little extra weight compared to the other parts. Now we'll repeat the exact same process on the other side. Okay, so now that this part is nice and dry, we're going to put our little bead of glue along this inner corner. Doesn't need to be that much, just enough to kind of hold it in place. And this should be the last step to making sure these side panels are glued. Now, in the end, you don't have to do all of this in the order that I did it, but the goal is to get glue along every surface of the tube so that it's affixed along its entire length. So in whatever way actually works for you, gluing it down some way like this usually works pretty well. So the last thing we have to do to prepare the sides is attach the ring hand ports, just like the front. Now, another thing to note is that these frames will go on the outside of the device. So since we want our button cap screw heads to be on the outside, we need to make sure that we orient them this way. And there we have a completed side panel.